It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Long Beach today, joined by Diana Craighead. She is a trustee with the Long Beach Unified School District. I want to speak about our students.
Okay.
And I want to talk about some of the challenges we see with some of our students. California has a new standardized test as a result of the adoption of the state standards Common Core. And when we look at the results from last year, the most recent results, 2016, English standards, only 49% met standards for English. For math, it was only 37%. But if you break it down to students of color, the numbers are a little more disappointing. African American students, English standards 31%, Latino students 37%, economically disadvantaged, maybe more instructive, 35%. Let's talk about the achievement gap and why it seems to persist.
Well, I think there are a lot of factors that contribute to that. And I'm very proud of our district because we are working to close that achievement gap.
Yeah, these numbers were statewide, by the way, not Long Beach.
Right, and our numbers in Long Beach are a little bit better than that, although we understand that there's a lot of room for improvement, and we're not satisfied by any means.
Sure.
Our superintendent has recently challenged our principals and executive staff to close the achievement gap in Long Beach by 50%.
So that's a laudable goal, but it's a difficult one to reach. Look at math, only 37% overall met standards. This is statewide, but Latinos 24%, economically disadvantaged 23%, and African Americans 18%.
Yeah. Well, I believe that with a focus on these deficits, then we're going to be able to work on that and really improve the numbers and really improve student achievement.
But here's what's confusing to me. There's nothing different about a Latino student and an Anglo student in terms of their mind, presumably. I mean, there are a lot of smart kids and a lot of not as smart kids. And so I just don't think that it has to do with their ethnicity. So what is it?
Well, I think there are a lot of other factors like cultural factors. Kids that come from backgrounds that don't have the same sort of resources as, say, you know, kids from different areas like in the
90210 area code.
You know, they have, you know, more challenges. They may come from a family where mom and dad both work 3 jobs. And the 4th grader has to take care of the kindergartner. Or the 5th grader's in charge of the 2nd grader. They might not be getting enough sleep. They might not have enough food to eat.
What about parental involvement? I know that's a passion of yours.
It is a passion of mine. I've been involved with PTA since 1993. I'm still involved, even though my children are grown and
aged
not
out.
Right, but I'm still helping out because I think it's a very worthy endeavor. But getting back to these kids that have extra challenges, we've done what we can. Well, not what we can. We are trying to do what we can to address these deficits.
See, I'm wondering if really the numbers that would be most instructive would be the economically disadvantaged. Because I think
a lot of times that's the same, we're talking about the same group of kids.
But I think that kind of sweeps in part of what you're discussing, the 5th grader taking care of the 2nd grader. Why is that? Probably because of economic disadvantage. And so, you know, I'm sure you're looking into that. I mean, I also want to talk to you about the students of color. Because, look, I have to think that success in school in some ways is tied to a sense of safety, a sense of support, a sense of feeling like people want you there and want you to succeed. And I'm wondering if in Long Beach some of that is starting to wane amongst students of color or otherwise because of some of the rhetoric we're hearing from Washington as it relates to immigrants. You
know, unfortunately that is the case, and it scares me almost like nothing else. The numbers that you cited are very scary, honestly. You know, English and math, the proficiency level is very low. But this issue with immigration and what's coming down from Washington, even just the fact that we have somebody who almost ran on a campaign of bullying, has made it acceptable for people to not just speak out and bully other people, intimidate other people, but we now have a situation where kids are afraid to come to school because they are in fear of returning home and not finding their parents.
Right.
And that's unacceptable.
And what's remarkable about this, and admittedly I live in California, so I have a, I have a sense of that feeling. But what seems to be happening is there's a conflating of issues. Because look, no one wants criminal aliens to be roaming our streets.
Right.
But what we know is that the undocumented actually commit crimes at a lower rate than natural born.
Yes. Yes.
And so, there's arguably some kind of fear-mongering going on in connection with the immigrant population, documented or undocumented.
Right, right. We've taken a stance in our school
Yeah,
district.
have you?
Yes, we passed a resolution 2 weeks ago that protects our families. And the resolution states that any immigration officer or entity has to check in with the superintendent before stepping foot on our schools.
Right.
And we are protecting the security and safety of our children.
See,
that if somebody has a warrant for an arrest, we will work with the proper authorities.
Right.
But if they don't have a warrant, then they don't have any place on our schools.
The challenge for LBUSD, though, is that the new administration is expecting cooperation among cities, among school districts, amongst governmental entities. And they are expecting it so much that they have said, without cooperation, we will withdraw federal funds. I mean, within the first week of inauguration, the new president issued an order suggesting that approach. Nothing's happened yet as we speak,
Right.
but I wonder how far do you go with this?
I think that when it comes to the safety of our kids, we can't go far enough. We have to protect their safety.
But could one argue if a kid is undocumented, they shouldn't be here?
Well, as far as education is concerned, we don't pay attention to where the kids come from, where they live, how they got here. It's our job to educate them. And that's the bottom line when it comes to education.
So let's talk about that education, because like you said, there are kids that are scared. They may be documented, but their grandmother's not.
Right, right.
Maybe their older brother's not, because they were born here, but they weren't. The older brother wasn't.
Yeah.
What are the teachers saying to these kids who are going to them and saying, I'm scared? What do they say?
Well,
What do you tell them to say? What does the superintendent tell them to say?
right. I believe the teachers are trying to reassure the children that they will be safe when they come to school. As far as what happens otherwise, there's only so much we can say because we don't know what's happening. And that to me is the scary part. And when I watch films or documentaries having to do with the Holocaust, that's how it started, where there was a group of people that were vilified by their leaders. And when you are taught to blame a certain group for problems, then it's easy for normal, ordinary people to turn on their neighbor. And I think that's so dangerous, and it's creating a terrible environment for our communities.
I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you for what you're doing for the kids. Her name is Diana Craig. She is a trustee with the Long Beach Unified School District. My name is Brad Pomerance. You're watching Lesson.